If you are living in the West, you might take it for granted that you are living in a democracy. What if I were to tell you you are living in an illusion of a democracy? Your so-called leaders have been fooling you for a long time. Every 4 years, you all head to the polls, cast your votes after listening to debates, but nothing changes. In a democracy, you can vote for change, but if nothing changes, you are not living in a democracy, only in a system that poses as one. By 2026, we are increasingly witnessing real criticism regarding democracy prevalent in Western debate. Critical realists all over the political spectrum increasingly question whether the scholarly consensus is objectively derived, or whether it functions instead as a normative defense of a particular ruling mechanism. The question of who can run for public office has long been debated in the West, and the acknowledgement of education, status, and money is beyond debate. But currently, the debate is not just about individuals, but about the democratic system as such. This is especially prudent regarding the European Union, and the governing system incarnated in Brussels is increasingly labeled not democratic, but technocratic. Let us therefore examine whether Western democracy is all that it claims to be and apply the metric we established in the last chapter. Every political system develops a class that claims authority over meaning. That is the inner mechanism of the organized few justifying their rule over the unorganized many. In medieval Europe, that authority rested with the clergy, who interpreted scripture and mediated access to truth. In contemporary liberal democracies, a similar class has emerged among the ruling elite, the Technocratic Priesthood. Academics, policy experts, data analysts, lawyers, politicians, and institutional experts, specialists, construct definitions and methodologies used to frame legal networks and general discourse. They wield the power, through arbitration, to distinguish right from wrong and possess the epistemic authority used to define what is true, what is right, and what constitutes as a democracy, and more specifically, what qualifies as a good democracy versus a mere facade. This framing is not a rhetorical flourish, but used here as an analytical metaphor. The technocratic priesthood exerts power through specialized knowledge, producing authoritative interpretations of concepts like democracy, and determining who or what can legitimately bear that mark. Cloaked in the language of objectivity and expertise, the priesthood's subjective agenda assumes the appearance of indisputable truth, purportedly based on science and universality. Their authority is based not on objective truth, but on an epistemic monopoly. Arguably, scholarly objectivity in the West has become a secular religion that provides a theological justification for the state's actions. If the Pope in the 15th century used scripture to justify freezing the assets of a heretic, in 2026, the technocratic priesthood uses data and spreadsheets to justify freezing the assets of a dissident. The tools have changed, from a Bible to administrative regulations, spreadsheets, and mathematical equations, but the function, ruling by special knowledge and undisputable decree, remains the same. Just as the medieval church used Latin to keep the scriptures from the masses, so as to monopolize the truth embedded therein, the 2026 EU uses Technocratic Latin, a specialized jargon designed to be impenetrable to the layperson. By using complex mathematical formulas to argue for fiscal policies, labeling acts of censorship a code of practice on disinformation, or a tax a market allowance ETS, the technocratic priesthood rules by a decree removed from public participation due to a structural inability to understand the doctrine.